about the circle.
Yeah.
We'll
Oh,
jump
keep going, Beena, keep
in.
going. It's okay.
No, go ahead.
So you can,
Oh,
Real
wait.
quick, just on that. Hello, Janelle. Hello,
yes,
hello,
Hi.
hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant.
Morning to
Oh,
now.
so pleased to hear. So
Hi.
pleased to hear. So pleased to hear. We're talking about moon cycles. Sue was somebody that she knows is affected by the moon, and just we're just discussing that in general. It is, some people doubt the effect that the moon has, but just keep in mind that a woman's cycle is a 28-day cycle. It's a
exactly,
moon cycle, right?
exactly. So
So if you now doubt that there's an effect of the moon, but the fact that not every woman is affected on full moon, or not at the same time,
no, no,
this
no.
makes you realize that the moon affects people in different ways.
So
Also, though, sorry, one second, Bina, I just want to add an extra point. It is also very interesting to understand that women congregate, their cycles shift, and they tend to become all at the same time. It's quite fascinating. So there's a lot going on with the moon, particularly with women. Just something to be aware of.
this is what I was sharing,
Yeah.
Sir and Sue especially, that it makes a very big impact on women's emotional well-being.
Yeah.
And if you know your moon sign, it can help you a lot in that, because if your moon sign is in water, like it's a Scorpio or something, then you can have some specific doing, like, okay, you can go for swimming. It will help you a lot to calm down. Or you
Yeah.
just, okay, if you can't go for swimming, do wash your porch or driveway or washrooms, even do something which involves you physically and also with water. So it will help you to get calm really big time. So it helps a lot. So there are so many details about this moon sign and moon cycle, which I can't share with you, but if you can, so please ask her about her moon sign.
Yeah, I'm going to ask her. In the chat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, good morning. Yeah,
Yes. Yeah.
Beena, it's very fascinating. I've actually looked up my birth chart and I wrote everything down. My sun sign, my moon sign, all my ascendant, everything for me. Ryan's on the same, and for the kids, because having kids, like, there's so much truth. I never really got into the signs until I had kids, and I'm like, wow, there's a lot of truth there. So my moon sign is in Scorpio.
Expecting that.
Oh, you were.
It is a very intense intensity you can feel from a person. The depth and intensity, especially from a Scorpio moon woman, it is magical. Their attraction is different. Everything is so different about them. So I was feeling that, Janelle, from you. It is very
Oh, is it? Okay. See, I know all my signs, but I guess it's not, maybe not me. So you're saying, like, helps
Oh
calm my
yes.
emotions down, like, and it usually the moon doesn't really affect me like it used to. I have a lot more control of my emotions
Excellent.
now, most of the time, but if for some reason I'm upset about something, whether it's affected by the moon or not, water
Mhm.
helps, or is it just when it's a full moon?
No, 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 not on full moon only. It helps.
Or excuse me, new moon.
No, it helps throughout your time, whenever you feel that, because
Huh.
it's not only about the phases of the moon, it is also about the aspects of the moon, and also it depends on where it was moon when you born. So it is like that particular phase also activate all those things, and especially with the Scorpio moons, it's a different deal. So we share it in detail with you. I will message you. So problem.
Thank you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm really
Beena's
fascinated
quite
by
the
all that because I've been
astrologer.
studying.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
Sue, write it. Whoever you're that's for it. Find it out.
It's a big deal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Beena's a pretty cool astronomer, astrologer, sorry, even though she is a very reluctant one.
Yeah, I don't want to like make it really obvious for anyone.
Yeah,
I don't do that. But yes, it's
Mm.
just actually, it was kind of a thing. I was just getting signs from universe, like again and again and again, pushing towards astrology. Then I said, okay, let's get it. And after that, I said, okay, now my lesson is done. I can move on. So then I choose way of which is
That's good.
so that's it.
That's good.
So how are you and how you were doing, Janelle, last week?
You know what? Well, this morning I'm tired. I'm taking a new supplement. I think it's detoxing me too fast because I had insomnia, of course, last night.
Uh,
So I got a few hours of sleep, but I'm just kind of dragging this morning. But you know what? Last week it was really good. I was just getting downloads of good information, and Brian and I, we were in the flow, as we call it. So we both kind of collaborated, and he had a lot of good notes too, but I wrote down what I could. Sometimes,
excellent.
I try to write everything down, but sometimes it
Yeah,
just
yeah.
flowing so fast, you just can't get it all. So, but this week it's much different. Starting yesterday, the energy was a lot more, just like I would say last week was like a mountain, and this week so far is like a valley, just
Interesting.
because after you have a victory or a mountain experience, there's always a valley. And that's called contrast. And
Right.
that's kind of what we're learning about. So not baked in, maybe relax a little bit more, not try to, that's okay. Take what you know. So really good.
That connectivity, that collaboration, this is really potent. And this is what, part of the program. It is what results because we get involved with stuff that's more. We start to connect. Those connections connect to other connections. So it happens. It's really cool. And then the other thing is, as you say, there's shifts, but relate to as perspective shifts and employee perspective shifting as the power tool that it really is. It's an incredible power tool. So when we do get into a space, this perspective, so and then we get all the magic from it, no matter what.
Yeah.
Really helpful, very, really helpful. Perspective shifting is an incredible tool, really massive. And we don't want to just shift from one perspective to another either. We want to develop the habit of shifting to multiple perspectives. That makes all the difference. Very big deal. Very brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. Let's continue from there.
Okay. On slide 14 in module.
Mhm.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I guess I'll just start there. And I guess just emphasis was placed on more, just seeing how everything was connected, because one good idea leads to more good ideas. And it was pretty magical, just, that collaboration. I would have to say collaboration was emphasized. And adding to my power dictionary, collaboration, 1+1 is more equals more. I really like that saying. 1 + 1
Yeah.
= more. It's been
Yeah.
emphasized a lot. So
Yeah. 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 And that's what I love about you and Ryan and your family too, you know. And you add you guys all together, boy, that Moreness, it's just fantastic, right?
yeah,
It's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. So
it really works with the kids when one of them is by themselves. It's nice and quiet, but when there's one, all of a sudden the noise level is like amplified times 10. Like I, if you do the math, and then with the roar, it's not always crazy, but it makes me laugh. I'm
yeah,
like, it seems like, there's way more kids in here than noise level. Anyway,
yeah, yeah. Very, very cool. Very, very
my
cool.
sound is, the sound is
Very cool.
cutting out from time to time. Is that on my end or is that?
Yeah, there's no cutting out on that we hear. There's no cutting out
Yeah.
on.
Okay, hold on a minute.
We're cutting out. We're cutting out.
All of us or just me?
So far, just when you were talking, so I can't say
Oh, it could be
everybody.
me. It could be. Hold on. Let me switch to the sound. Let me see.
No, but not for me. You are smooth.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
oh. Well, I'll change it anyway. It's usually a bit more
Okay.
stable. So yeah, don't worry about it, Janelle. It's probably just me. So
Hold on, I'm trying to see if it's on my end. Well, can you hear me okay now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Maybe that fixed it.
Yes.
Yeah. I have to use my headphones for some reason. Yeah, I'm gonna have to maybe go to my settings, but this seems to help it for now. So, so my
okay. All
takeaway
right.
is that motivation is the key starting point to awareness. You cannot connect everything unless you are motivated to do so.
Oh, say that again for
So
me, please. I don't know why, but it's out of my mind there somehow.
that's okay. Motivation is the key starting point of awareness. You cannot connect
Mm,
everything unless you are motivated to do so.
yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Exactly. So, with this motivated, it is kind of the conditioned to believe. Where the motivate, when you are getting this entire focus on obedience, right? That
Mhm.
means you're not motivated to awareness. Your motivation is acceptance of what's being told to you from externally, outside of yourself, right? Which means
Mhm.
you don't really learn, you just accumulate a set of things that others have told you. It's not real learning, it's just stuff that goes into your memory. Do this. In other words, they're instructions, they're robotic codes, as it were, programming. So this doesn't get you anywhere. And of course, it goes against awareness, because awareness, you have to do it by yourself. So when we are motivated to be aware, that's when we start to learn, to grow, to figure out, to connect, to explore, to unravel, to think things through to the end, especially. That's a very important tool, to not just do this half heartedly, but it's very important to go to the end, so that we don't just get most of it, but we finish it. Because so often you see people, they think something through and, oh, okay, but they don't finish it. And then that logic is, there's more that changes what came before it. You have to go all the way, otherwise that's wasted. So all these tools really now create actual real awareness, rather than just listening to what others have said, and which is just obedience, programming, conditioning. Not that what they say is necessarily incorrect, but if it's not yours, it doesn't lead to any longer term actual personal growth, right?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, and it's pretty fascinating when you step back and you start questioning. I know you talk about the gift of doubt, but when you start questioning, you'll see, like, why do I do this habit? Why am I motivated to do this? Or even, am I motivated?
Mm,
Why you just question everything. Um,
exactly, 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 exactly. exactly. Yeah, yeah. It's a magical thing, and that obedience culture. Like I said last time, that 11th commandment is thou shalt not question. They don't want you to question. They want you to think for yourself. They want you to be aware. It's a very big deal.
Yeah.
Very, very big. Very cool. Very cool. Keep going. Keep going. Love this.
So my next slide is 15. We are all destined to learn awareness. We can learn the easy way or the hard way. Life doesn't care which path we choose. The important thing is that the lesson is learned.
Mm, mm, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yeah. So if you had to choose, Janelle, for
Mhm.
your children, I'm pretty sure I asked you this before, but always a good question. And I said, Janelle, all right, you get a choice. Something that's coming up, and you get a choice. You get either what's good for your children or what's nice for them. What do you choose?
What's good?
Duh. Exactly. I know it's a very duh question, but that's the universe. It says, that's it. Well, good isn't always nice. However, this doesn't mean that the good cannot always be nice. We can make it so. We can combine the two simply because we are now making a deliberate effort to learn and grow and be aware. We get in attunement with the universe's plan and we start to see the goodness in everything. And because we enjoy learning and growing our awareness, this becomes nice as well. We start to enjoy the process, right? So it's a good example, for instance, is an actor who's playing somebody. Let's say they're playing a villain or they're playing a depressed person or a sad person. They can get joy from playing that role, even though the role involves negative information or negative emotions, because
Mhm.
they involved in being excellent at playing that role. In other words, they're involved in impeccability and excellence. So they get joy out of playing it, even though it's so they can find goodness and niceness even when there is not niceness present. We can do the same with learning from things that aren't nice. We can extract the learning, enjoy the learning part, let the rest be. Right?
Yes. Yeah,
Put the
that's
rest under understanding.
yes.
Oh, good.
No, that's just similar to my takeaway. It's kind of
Mm,
similar to that, but a little different perspective. So, what I wrote is foolishness and stubbornness will take you down the hard path. They will keep you, or excuse me, they will not keep you from learning. It's best to determine in your heart to have a pleasant attitude and be excited to learn because this is the easy and fun path. So, my conclusion is there are shortcuts, so to speak, to learning, and the shortcuts
mm,
are found in the easy path.
mm, mm.
So,
Exactly.
according to my perspective and my experience, what I've actually gone through is I've gone down the stubborn path, and my due to lack of awareness, I took the hard road before,
Mm,
and it led to hard lessons.
mm,
Whereas if I would have just maybe zoomed out and had a greater awareness at the time, I could have foreseen, oh, wow, that might not be the right path. Again, it's a fortuitous mistake. I can't really even call it a mistake, but I could have chosen easier way. But then again, could I have? Because if my awareness wasn't there, I wasn't even aware of the choice.
Mhm.
So you can go back and forth with that for a long time.
Mhm.
But if your awareness is there, I've learned there is an easy path,
Mhm.
and there's fun in learning. You can enjoy it.
yes, yes, yes. There's a deep joy to learning when we really start to grow and connect and see the grand sense of everything. It becomes profound. Yeah, yeah. It's huge. It's huge. Huge, huge, huge.
And this ties into a definition I wrote down in my power term dictionary, and it's called inner standing. There's someone that I had listened to a while back, and that was the first time I heard that word and I really resonated with it. But for me, my definition of understanding, so inner instead of under, it's inner standing. It's knowing everything happens for me, not to me.
Yes, 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 yes. That's a perfect entry into your dictionary of power and a most excellent understanding of that term. Everything happens for me, not to me. What a shift of perspective. What a profoundly spiritual connectivity to understand this and connect to this. It's really magical. Yeah, yeah. Really, really, really cool. Really, really cool.
And once you become aware of something, and I've noticed like, oh, okay, this is a little, small little gem or, something, maybe a little light bulb turns on and
Mm.
you understand it. Well, shortly after, you'll be tested in that. Well, do you really understand what this means?
Why? Why?
I call that
Why?
contrast, but
Yeah.
I feel it this week. Do I really believe that? Do I really believe, or I can't even say
Yeah.
believe, do I really trust the
There
process
you
and do I
go.
have faith knowing that
Yes.
everything happens for me?
Yes.
So it's kind of being put to the test and it's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
this is kind of tougher than it seems sometimes.
Yes. So when we see the learning, the growth, the awareness expansion and enhancement, I get it. Okay, that's what it means. It means grow, learn, be aware, expand yourself. That's always what's at the bottom of everything. And it's very simple, really, and magical at the same time. We start to see the genius of everything, how everything is geared towards this end. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Very
Yeah.
amazing. Very cool. Very, very cool.
So I think that takes me to slide 16 here. They kind of all connected to me. So my
Hmm.
notes
Hmm.
I'll just keep moving along because it's kind of connected here. But
Yeah.
16, when we become aware of the grand scheme of life, we stop fighting the learning and we embrace it. We learn when we are resisting learning. We start to recognize the forces of life and how they assist us. So I think what I'm saying here is you learn whether you resist it or not, but actually when you stop resisting and you start embracing it, that's where true learning comes in.
Yeah.
And then you can start to see how life assists you in all of that. So my
Yes. Yes.
takeaway, the
Always.
turning,
Oh, okay.
oh,
Right.
go ahead.
It's always assisting you, right?
Always, yeah.
Mm.
It's happening for you. Everything's happening for you. So my takeaway, the turning point is when we start to embrace learning, when we finally let go of fighting it and come to the conclusion it was never our enemy, but learning is our friend.
Mm. 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 Exactly. Exactly.
And
Exactly.
really, if you think about it, I mean, that's the whole purpose of why we're here. We're here to learn.
Yes. That's it. We're here to learn. We're here to enhance and develop and expand and grow our awareness because that's the key to everything. Without awareness, then it's all meaningless, really, right? The more aware
Right.
you are, the more you understand. The more you understand, the more you can apply. The more you can apply, the more you can grow. And then you get more. The more you can appreciate, the more you can love, etc. The more you can be appropriate in the end of the day, right?
Yeah. Seeing it, I'm just going over my notes here.
Ah, well, share them all. We love hearing them. It's very potent. And there's the value of sharing your notes. You get to hear them yourself. So they're very useful, and it's just about perspective shifting on yourself. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess my personal takeaway, I always thought I had an enemy. I was taught that there's the devil, which, you know, I mean, I think the devil's more in our head. We play the devil a lot. We sabotage ourselves. We're the one that, um, you know, doesn't trust the process. And for me, a major belief bubble was I don't have any enemies because I really don't.
This is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yes, this whole idea of enemies, for the most part, it's kind of a square circle. They don't really exist. And the more you think you have enemies, the more you start focusing on attention and doing that. You don't regard people as enemies, it's kind of hard for them to be your enemy. So if that's
That's
not even
right.
part of your thinking, that just it doesn't happen. Exactly. I agree with you. I don't have any enemies either. Never understood
No.
this logic.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's really really a huge shift to have that, to realize that our perceptions have an effect on our reality. Our beliefs have an effect on our reality, right? Our responses have an effect on our reality.
Yeah.
And thus our awareness and especially our attention has a profound effect on our reality. Very big deal.
Yeah. And going even deeper than that, like on the internal world, we don't have any enemies in there either. You know, the enemies of like fear, the enemies of hate, that's all our projection of how we perceive it. And I had to see that in a different light because they're not coming in to attack us like a lot of times we initially think.
Mm.
Really, they're there to show us what's in our heart. So if if you need to deal with anger, well, your neighbor is probably going to project anger on you because that's what you need to see. You need to see the anger inside. So you let go of that, but there's no enemy there. If you're
Yeah,
dealing with fear and you
exactly.
have a lot of fear inside, same thing. You're going to have someone probably in your close circle or someone you live close by that you really can't avoid. You know, you can only avoid them to a certain extent, but they're going to show you what's going on internally. And it's going to really bother you because deep down you don't want that. You want to be filled with love.
Yes, exactly. But you also want to be filled with aware love, because unaware love can be disastrous, right?
Well, right. And that's not true
Yeah,
love either. You know, we
exactly.
call it love,
Exactly.
but you're right. Aware
Exactly.
love
Exactly. Right.
is what we
Right.
need.
Right. So, you're talking about the devil. That's just unawareness, ignorance.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really what it is. That's it. It's very simple.
And it really makes life a lot more enjoyable when you can just
Yes.
relax and be like, no, I don't no one's trying to attack me.
Yeah.
I have no enemies.
Yeah.
Everything's going really good.
Yeah. 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 So
I
cool.
guess for
So
me
cool.
growing up in the church, that was always I was taught, you know, there's enemies. And it took me a while to see it differently. But that's okay. I wanted to learn that way. So now I can help people in that area.
Most excellent. Most excellent. Let's hear more. Let's hear more.
So slide 17, the development and enhancement of awareness leads to our biggest motivation, which is self-awareness. So expanding on this and my takeaway, awareness is not just simply being aware of things and circumstances around you, but it's also being aware of you, how you think and how you feel. This is on all levels, emotionally, physically, mentally, spiritually, and so forth. So for me, there's different levels of awareness. And a lot of people are on the level of, you know, what's going on around. Well, I can't even say that nowadays. It feels like there's very little awareness, even what's going on around people. They're so connected to their phone that they don't even really know what's going on around them physically. You know, we're not even aware that, oh, there's a car coming, you know, you might need to get out of the way. But that's just the surface level. When you go deeper, you start to become much more aware of maybe your spiritual situation and your
Exactly.
spiritual awareness, or I should
Exactly.
say lack of awareness for most of
Yeah.
us.
Yes. Yes. Exactly. Exactly. So it's not for nothing that we use the term spirit warrior. We use warrior because we are doing this because a warrior has to be alert and be on their guard, on their toes. A warrior has to be particularly aware. They have to be disciplined, thorough, conscientious, etc., etc. Right? But it's a spirit warrior. You're applying all that deliberation, that conscientiousness, that thoroughness, that scrupulousness, that awareness, that alertness in service of spirit, polishing your own spirit, connecting your spirit to greater spirit, being aware of what spirit is, what it means, how it affects you, how it influences everything, etc., etc. Right? So, way of impeccability, in other words, is a spiritual program and journey, but it's not telling you what to believe. It's giving you the tools for enhancing and developing your own spirituality. Because as you enhance your awareness, automatically you enhance your spirituality. The two go together, right? I mean, you have to be pretty
Mhm.
unaware to not be aware of spirituality of some kind. So whatever that is to you doesn't matter. You are now enhancing it. You know, if you listen to most scientists, especially ones like that are completely not connected to any religious perspective or spiritual perspective, science for them is a reverent activity. It's spiritual. It connects them to knowledge, to understanding, to how the world works, the universe works, and they just revel in this. They just absolutely adore it. That's spiritual, you know. So they might not use that term, but it's the same thing. So spirituality is, of course, individual, but everything in the end, it all connects. It's just a matter of terminology. Now, this is really cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
very, very cool. Yeah.
Yesterday was kind of just a heavy spiritual day for me, and just heavy energy. You know, after, like I said, after you go have a mountain victory, there's always a little valley afterwards. And it wasn't like a bad day, but just the energy was really heavy. It was just really gray. The sun didn't come out. You know, you just have those days. But at at some point throughout the day, I envisioned what was really happening. And I know it was spiritual warfare going on. And I
Mm,
just envisioned, I don't know if it was like, you know, I took a little time to meditate and just kind of relax, get away from just the heat of all of it, I guess. But I just envisioned that I was just this warrior. I was in armor, and there was just like darkness just everywhere, and just really deep darkness. And I just had to hold my ground. I couldn't even press forward like I've been doing. And it was trying to drain my energy. And I was doing everything I could just to hold on to my energy and hold my ground. And I
mm,
just
mm,
envisioned, I have my sword in my hand and I have my shield, and I was just trying to block as much as I could just to guard what I had so I can just, like I said, hold my ground. And it was just really powerful symbolism and a picture internally of how I felt for the day. And just very sombering. And through that, I just asked for help me, because that you feel very alone in that. You can be surrounded by people, even people you love, but when you do the spiritual work, it's very lonely, and it's a different type of loneliness.
it
You
can
have
be,
to
yes.
fight your own battle. And it's only for a short time. This didn't last very long.
Correct. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
as I just envisioned all this, I just held my ground, just kind of kneeled and held what I knew to be true. So I'll say that there was darts coming at me to doubt what I knew was truth, knowing that everything's happening for me and not to me. And I just stood there and I asked for help. Just, angels, I need some backup. This is getting intense.
Nice.
And you know what?
Nice.
The more I practice just patience and just being comfortable, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, I soon, just pushing through that, I soon felt relief. I soon felt that my teammates behind me in the spiritual realm, they caught up to where I was, and we were able to kind of regroup and just move forward again, but just a really powerful vision I had, and it just felt so real. I mean, that's, to me, those visions, it's more real than actual life. The spiritual realm, it's, once you start, I guess, experiencing it, like the sounds you hear, like music, and it's like, it's softer than actual physical music. I sound crazy, but when you start entering this realm, but so the goodness in it is so much greater than the goodness in the physical realm, but the darkness is so much darker, and you really need to be grounded. And I think I've been a little timid to enter into the internal kingdom because of that, because you can really get lost in the darkness. You have to be really careful. I think this is like when people practice magic. I'm not practicing magic, but people do, and they get lost in that dark realm. And I can see why, because the darkness is very great. It's very powerful.
For one, you do not sound crazy. Well, at least not to us.
Well,
I'm pretty
that's
sure
good.
not to Beena or Sue either. Oh no, absolutely not.
Yeah.
A lot of people who have visions think it's only them. Well, no, it's not only you. you know, Many people have them, and they're fortunate and they're lucky. So this is a profound thing. But what you said about your being cautious, absolutely so. Way of impeccability is precisely geared to developing the tools that will enable you to explore such realms and worlds and visions and experiences safely, right? Strategically, sensibly.
Yes.
This is exactly what impeccability is geared to be. It is to prepare us to enter into situations that are unfamiliar to us, to explore the unknown, to explore it as moreness, and to understand all of the tools that make this so. And we'll get to it, one of them being the particular use of attention. So there's lots of tools as we go along, but just know this exploring of your visions, of your spirituality, of moreness, that way of impeccability is precisely geared to enabling you to be able to do so sensibly, with sobriety, safely, yes, and appropriately. So yeah, this is what
Yeah.
we're about. That's very cool. That's very cool. Um, yeah, like Donna, she's had some really amazing visions. It's interesting how they overlap so with Novelia, from the Biela series stories that I wrote. So those books,
Oh,
So yeah, it's amazing. So when we start to get into the details, and you look at the in this case actual physical details, but also in the abstract of it, there's lots of overlap. So it's very cool. It's very very cool, and it's something that's very profound for her, that's influenced
yeah.
her life, for a long long time. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. So we'd like to hear more about your experiences in that, your visions, your spiritual connectivity, details. I really like to hear details. Really, really useful. Very cool. Very,
Yeah,
very cool.
I'm trying to make a habit of writing things down, because
Excellent.
at the
Excellent.
moment it's so vivid and
Excellent.
so
Excellent.
colorful, and
Yes.
yet, if you
Yes.
don't
Yes.
capture that right away, it
Yes.
does fade.
Yes. 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 So I would recommend you treat your visions the same way as you would a session. Do
Yeah.
the same thing. Do a repeat back on it. A
Yeah.
repeat back. First of all, write it out. All right. In this case, your repeat back is fairly exact. You're not looking to put it in your own words because it is your own thing, but kind of also. But in other words, document the experience without commentary. Right. Just write it.
Right.
And again, write ugly, edit pretty. You can come back and clean it up later, but as it comes, just let it flow. Don't worry about typing and grammar and spelling, if and even if it makes sense or not sense. Doesn't matter. Just write it all.
Yeah.
Then do your takeaway on it. What did I learn from this? What was useful? What was valuable? What was significant for me? What was meaningful for me? What connected? Also, as part of your takeaway, same thing when you're doing the sessions, the slides, pay attention to what comes up in you. Whether it seems to be connected or not, it doesn't matter. Write it down as well. That's those things that come up in you are very, very potent. Very, very potent. So do the same thing with your visions. Write and share what
Yeah.
comes up in you as part of your takeaway. But then look at it from a moreness perspective and say, okay, overview perspective, awareness perspective. How did this make a difference to me? What did I learn from here? What was new here? And then as you go through it all, you take your notes on that, your takeaways, and you say, okay, I got this and this and this, and wow, this really connected me to understanding appreciation. I never thought of appreciation in this way. That's for argument's sake. I never thought of appreciation this way. I always thought it was this. Now you go and you add all of that, and you take all of what you understood, and you say, if I were to find an overall conceptuality for this understanding, this new awareness, what would it be? Oh, it was all about appreciation. Okay, appreciation goes into dictionary of power, or whatever the particular thing is, so that you can, through the use of that word, that concept, sometimes it's a compound concept, even a short phrase, you can now recall the entirety of the learning from that particular vision, right? Now, there's
Right.
usually multiple things that we get out of it. So when you put it into dictionary of power, that's the mechanism that enables you to use that learning on an ongoing and continuous basis. Right? That's the way the brain works. You can't
Right.
remember whole massive information, but you can remember the capstone, the tag, the power term, the abstract conception of all that learning. Right?
Right.
Yeah. So do that. So this last vision, if you were to say make entries into your dictionary of power of what you took away from it, of what you learned, what the new awarenesses you gained, what would those be as power conceptions? What did you get from that vision?
Well, I haven't even got that far yet, but now that you're
Ah,
asking, well, definitely, I mean, this was mentioned earlier, but I'm definitely a spirit warrior. Yeah, I mean, that was the whole
you are.
vision. That's what it
Yes, you
entailed.
are.
But I guess
Ah,
one thing that
so
I learned,
so sorry, I hate to interrupt you, but your vision showed you that you were a spirit warrior.
well, I already knew I
That's right.
was,
Confirmed it.
but
Ah,
yes, it confirmed it.
oh,
But what
brilliant.
the vision taught me was I'm a very good spirit warrior. I'm
Yes.
very
Yeah.
powerful. And I
Yeah. Interesting.
and we all have that capability to tap into this power,
Mm, mm,
but I think deep down we know how powerful we are, and it's really scary
mm,
because
mm. Yeah.
I've noticed, like, when I get really deep into, like, just I don't know, just seeing the power within it.
Mm,
Like when you feel energy flow through your body, it's almost like that Holy Spirit, when you have the Holy Spirit come over you.
Mhm.
mm.
It's scary because you feel that power and it feels like
Yeah.
it's going to take you out.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's
Yes. A big
it's
deal.
an awesome but scary thing because you realize how fragile your actual body is, but
Mm,
yet your spirit, you see how powerful your spirit is. So it's a, just a
yeah.
healthy balance there. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
my vision showed me I'm a very powerful warrior.
Yes. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So that's the other point and purpose and magic of wave impeccability. It is a mechanism that allows you to deal with, utilize, and relate to, and connect, and not especially abuse your power.
That's right.
Right? This is the
Yes.
biggest thing with power. And we're not just talking personal power, and we're not talking dominance, control power. We're talking real power, the ability to make things happen through will, through intent, through the usage of your energy, right? All of this through your awareness, your attention, etc.
Yeah.
But this is a power, obviously, and like any power, it can easily corrupt. So part of way of impeccability, one of its key purposes is to enable us to deal with it, because it's only through impeccability that we are going to do this.
Yes.
Best use of energy. That's our core definition, right? And it's an ethical usage of our energy also, right?
Absolutely.
So when we start to do this, we don't fall for the traps of conditioning, of power. I mean, we don't get corrupted by power. So this is a very, very big deal. Again, we are looking from ego, self-importance, all of that stuff, which of course are very corruptive. And we want to go more than that. We don't want to get corrupted. We don't want to fall into that trap. Yes?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I guess one thing to add, I didn't really say this, but you're reminding me, and I say all this with humility because
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I've been down I mean, we all have, but I've been down a very difficult road and it's humbled me. And now I see why that was necessary
Yes.
so that I will remember who I am. And
Exactly.
it really like,
Yes.
it
Yes.
took away a lot of my self-confidence. So I think what's happening is my self-confidence is getting built back up
Yes. Yes.
because
Another.
I
Yeah.
didn't look at myself appropriately, meaning, I felt less of myself than I should have. And
Yeah.
that's not good either. You know what I mean? They're both egos going extreme with the power and using it negatively, but also you can undermine yourself, and that's your ego too. So it's bringing me in balance. And I'm really
Yeah.
thankful for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And this again is what we are going to be doing in Way of Impeccability. It's not
Yeah.
about teaching you anything. We have no interest in teaching you anything. We simply want to connect you to the moreness that's already there and provide appropriate tools for you to utilize and access your moreness and extend your moreness as well. Right? That's it. That's
Hmm.
all we're doing. That's all we're doing. This is a very, very, very big deal. Very big deal. Yeah?
Yes.
Simple stuff, but it's huge. Simple stuff, but it's huge.
So that brings me to slide 18. As your awareness grows, you realize nothing is as you thought it was, both in the world and within yourself.
Mm, mm,
So expanding on that for my takeaway, ideas and belief, ideas and beliefs have to change. This occurs naturally as you become more aware of the truth. You don't know what you don't know till you know it. And we always
yeah,
say the obvious isn't obvious till it's obvious. I like that
exactly,
saying.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that, like you said, with beliefs,
Yeah.
beliefs are very tricky, very dangerous. When we start to realize this, that's a big shift in our awareness. And it's very liberating, very, very liberating to become
Yeah.
aware of the limitations of beliefs. And that beliefs aren't hard and fast. They might be, but it's a choice. And beliefs aren't facts. It's astonishing how many people confuse this. They
Hmm.
believe something really, really deeply and they assume it's a fact. And they live as if it's a fact. It's not, it's a belief. No matter how much you are convinced it's true,
Yeah.
it's not a fact by definition, right?
Yeah,
If you say,
that's
right,
true.
I believe in ghosts. I don't care how much uh, you are convinced that ghosts exist. It's your belief that it's so. It's not a fact. You see, so people confuse that. It gets them into trouble. And the biggest problem is, I don't have any problems with anybody's beliefs. The problem is just from a psychological point of view. If we have this this commitment to our beliefs, which is good. I mean, yes, by all means, if you believe in honesty, practice it and apply it. Well, honesty is not a good example here, but whatever it is, by all means, get into it fully, but don't get so locked into it that it blinds you to possible updates to your belief, and that you ignore new information, new facts, new evidence that comes along. That's the problem with rigidity of belief. It causes us to get locked into them, and that's quite devastating. For instance, a better system here is ego. A better example.
Mhm.
When we're younger, we have some beliefs about ourselves, and ego-related beliefs. We think we're this, we think we're that, and then if those people who don't have flexibility in their beliefs, they get locked into that, and they can never update. They never acquire humility. In other words, right? Um, so you've had some rough experiences which assisted you in that, which is fantastic. You learned the lessons, but
Mhm.
imagine if you didn't, and that those lessons were you needing to change your beliefs about yourself and how wonderful you are, right?
Yeah.
Those are those hard lessons of humility. They usually, the bottom line is we had to update our belief about ourselves, right? But imagine if we had rigidity of belief and were unable to update our beliefs about ourselves. Then you'd just be lost, right?
Right.
And how terrible would that be? Right. And you see this too, coming from a religious background. That rigidity of belief, it's devastating to people, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really changes the course of people's life
Right. Exactly.
entirely.
Exactly.
I
Exactly.
think the most interesting thing is you don't even realize that it's a belief. It's so
Exactly.
ingrained, so
Yes.
deep within you. You don't even
Yes.
know that,
Exactly.
that's what's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah. 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 That's the insidiousness of it. Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's devastating. That's devastating. That's really, really, really devastating. Yeah. Yeah. Very, very powerful insight there. That people get caught in that immersion bubble, which is why we pay so much attention to immersion bubbles in the way of impeccability, to understand them, to be aware of what they are. And later we're going to have specific tools and techniques and mechanisms for dealing with awareness bubbles, so we don't get caught into that trap. It is a big, 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 big deal. Very, very big deal. Massive, massive, massive. It's everything actually.
Yeah.
That's the big horror in life, is to get caught up in awareness bubbles. If this happens to us, for some people they never get out of them. They get trapped lifelong.
Yeah.
So yeah, big
I've
deal.
been trapped in, well, we all have, but I've been trapped specifically in a belief bubble several years back about who I thought God was. And
Ah, interesting.
God had to show me the hard way because it was
Ah,
such a
interesting.
powerful, strong
Interesting.
bubble.
Mm,
Yeah. And I'm going to
yeah.
tell you, when that
Please.
bubble popped, like I literally thought I was going to die. Like
Yep. Yep.
I didn't have anything to stand on, and reflecting back,
Yeah.
I mean, isn't that what the Bible says? Build your house on the firm foundation on the rock. When you
Right.
build
Right.
it on the sand, which is like belief bubbles,
Right.
yeah, you're gonna get washed away. And I didn't think I was
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah.
make it.
Yeah. 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 Belief tsunamis come along, and yeah. Yeah. Wipe
Right.
you out. Yeah. Yeah. That's huge. But you got through it. You survived. You survived. And
Yeah.
take that, say, hey, okay, I'm not going to forget that lesson really easily. Thank you. Thank you. One powerful conception shift in terms of God, um, just that's been helpful for some, is to see God as intent, capital I or all caps intent. Just
Hmm.
intent. That's it. That's God. And, for some people looking at it that way, it's really, really powerful. Beena commented on this because actually in the Quran, in the Quran they never say he, right? It's always Allah. Never,
Mm.
never do they say he. And it's God is defined as energy in the Quran too. So that's pretty cool. Just a different perspective on things. And much is lost, unfortunately, in the Bible because of translation errors, which is a real pity. It's a real shame. But when we look at things in a little different light, you say, "Wow, okay, just from a scientific point of view, everything is energy. So it stands to reason that well, everything is God too. Well, God is energy, but it's not just any old energy. It's intent. It's
Mm.
energy that has an intent. It's intent itself, which is an energy. So it is an energy that's a different kind of an energy. It's not just doing random stuff, right? There's an intent to it. So
Right.
when we look at it that way, wow, okay. So the universe is energy, and that energy has an intent, is intent. Wow. That is things kind of start to fall into place, but it might not do so for everybody. I'm just sharing it because you said about what God is. So just a perspective on it to that can be very powerful and very useful.
Yeah, well, I agree with you now. Prior to my experience, I wouldn't have, because I thought God was an actual, well, in the Bible, as from as early as I can remember, since I've been born, the Bible was always read to me and my siblings, and it says he. So it taught me that
Right,
God is an actual person,
right,
a man, a father. And that
right,
was the bubble that had to pop, is that he doesn't have a form. He's not even a he. you know,
right.
he God is an energy, just like, so yeah, I'd have to say I have
Exactly,
a very similar perspective
exactly,
now. I
exactly.
took the hard way to get there, but it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. I needed to go through that.
yes,
Oh,
yes,
yes.
yes, yes. Very cool. Beena, anything to share, please?
This is really interesting what Janelle says, because it shifts and it actually eliminates all the differences and everything. Because once you have this understanding that the universal power, the supreme power we all talk about, we look
Hmm.
towards, is just an energy, no specifics.
Mm.
When we don't have any specifics, it means that it is actually a universal energy. And then
Right,
nobody can actually like
right,
argument or like, okay, this is saying nothing actually. This is a universal energy without any specific, available for everyone.
right,
And
right,
then we
Mm.
actually see that this is the peace we all talk about, because unfortunately, most of the wars and fights and difference of opinion, uh, they root from religious point of views. And
Mm.
if
or
we just
beliefs, not only just religious, but beliefs. Yeah.
believe so, when we get this understanding, it will resolve everything, almost everything.
Yeah.
Okay, you know that, you understand that, and there is no hierarchy in that. Oh, Muslims are good and Christians are good or Jews are good. No, we all are sharing this energy and we are part of that energy. Wow, what a beautiful concept it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
this is something, because I feel that I always had this understanding. So for me, it was kind of like, duh, it's easy. You
Yeah.
did, you explored it by yourself. This is something really amazing. This
Mhm.
is a real work, because for me it was like, okay, because I grew up with that understanding, so I was reading Quran in that way. So for me it was like, yes. But for a person who explored it, who realized it, who actually understand it, make it sense out of it by herself, this is really amazing. This is really amazing, Jalal.
Thank
So I'm
you.
so impressed by that.
I am
Yeah.
impressed
Big
as
deal.
well.
Big deal.
I don't know how it happened.
Oh yeah.
Magic, magic. But I'll tell you how it happened. At least my theory of it. You had a deep and profound intent to resolve this question.
Yeah.
You didn't just grow up in a deeply religious community. You also personally also, at least in a spiritual way, you are deeply spiritual. So you had the intent, and your honesty would not let things go in the understanding that most people do. They hear stuff that contradicts, that doesn't make sense, and they just let it go, right? They don't resolve those
Hmm.
contradictions, and they just live with that hypocrisy, and you couldn't do that. So it's your honesty, your deep innate honesty, that made the difference. This is
Mm,
what resulted in you being able to get to that point, right? There's that intent,
mm,
that inherent intent underlying it all for you, and you needed to resolve this. You couldn't let it go, right? So it's
right.
a product of your honesty. Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I remember as a little girl, I remember like asking questions that my
Exactly.
parents really couldn't answer, on deep levels. And I remember my dad specifically, he would really emphasize how much truth Christianity has, and yet um how much falsehood is in other religions,
Mm, mm.
specifically Hindu religion, Muslim, specifically the ones that are
Yeah. Yeah.
anti-Christian, so to speak. And it just never sat well with me because
Right.
he would try to explain why we're in the truth. But even like again, from a very young age, I'd always have questions of like, well, what if they're right and I'm wrong?
Exactly.
Deep
That's your
questions, and
honesty. That's your deep honesty. Exactly.
because everyone's going to
Exactly.
say they're right. you know
Right.
like, it doesn't
Right.
matter what you believe,
Right.
you think you're right no matter what. And at a
Exactly.
very young age, these questions got brought up and the church couldn't answer them. And because of that
Right.
gift of doubt, as you call it,
Yeah.
yes, it led to more.
Right.
So
Oh,
just
fantastic.
very
But it's your
fascinating.
honesty. You see how it's your honesty that led to
Yes.
that that belief shift, because you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let it go. You had to keep going because, man, I got to resolve this. I can't let this go. It doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense. There's more here, right?
Hmm.
So yeah. So it's not just something that happened randomly, right?
Right. Oh yeah, definitely looking back,
Happened because of Janelle being Janelle.
you know I had to
You
go
never
through
sold
that.
out, in other words, right, Janelle?
That's right. I'm not a sellout. You're right.
Right, right. You couldn't just be a hypocrite like that, and just believe without any reason to believe, right?
Right. Yeah, I just
It had to make sense to you. Yeah,
my conscience, my true self wouldn't let me settle.
Mhm.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah, yeah.
That's impeccability. See, conscience. See, you're
Mm,
impeccable in this regard. In other words, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
How cool is that to realize that you've always been impeccable?
Mhm.
Yeah, that is pretty neat.
It's very cool. It's very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah, you can hear a lot.
Honest. Yeah.
Mhm.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just say that what just screams like ever since Janelle said it that she knows she is a spirit warrior. I just think that is an understatement. It is so perfect, but it's so powerful. I mean, and we have to really get that in this situation because that all the stuff that you've gone through seems like divine intervention for
Mm,
all the things that have happened to you, regardless if they were good or they were
Right.
bad.
Right.
They've all
Right.
positioned, all those experiences have positioned you to where you are today, and that is that underlying foundation of intent to goodness and impeccability
Right.
is what I
Right.
hear
Right.
mm,
in a big
Right.
way.
And it's a
mm,
direct consequence of your impeccability. You
Yeah.
didn't sell out.
Yeah.
You didn't compromise your honesty. You had to resolve it, and you had to figure it out. So this is all just as a consequence of your impeccability. Yes, it seems divine in the end, and from one perspective, of course, it is. But also, there's a more mundane explanation to it, and that is simply that, hey, you didn't quit. You didn't give up. You okay. You might not have been able to figure it out directly, but you didn't give up. You just trusted, and you keep persisting. You keep trying to figure out. You set an intent, in other words. So this
mm,
is what we're doing in a way of impeccability. Precisely what we're doing now. It is to be deliberately aware and clearly conscious of what it is that you were doing back then. See, so that you can repeat it. That it doesn't just come about and you're like, oh, what happened? No, you want to know specifically exactly how, so that you can repeat the process. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right, right. So that's what we're doing. These are the tools we're talking about: intent formulation, perspective shifting, and of course, understanding impeccability. To know exactly what it is. You persisted. You didn't give up. You refused to compromise your honesty. You satisfied your conscience. It's amazing. Yeah. And look too. Just by the way, simple things when we start to pay attention. When you were saying about other religions that are
Hmm.
anti-Christian, they aren't. But this is a belief of religions that other religions are anti the religion. They're not.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
talking about mistaken beliefs. But it's the
Yeah.
language. We assume they must be. And this is because of the whole superiority paradigm. So we won't get into that now because it's all a big deal. But it's amazing how that stuff just comes about.
Yeah.
It's astonishing. And it's just inadvertent just because of poor beliefs. And those beliefs is all from that dominant superiority, old school style. It's very, very, it's all over the Bible, unfortunately. So, yeah,
Hmm.
it's a pity. Causes problems. What can you do? Understand. That's what we can do, right?
That's right. Yeah. So just kind of wrapping up that, I just made a note on what you said, and what I heard you say earlier is beliefs blind you. And
Yeah,
I just made a little note of that because it's very good to remember.
yeah, 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 yeah. Or unaware beliefs. But anyway, um, so another thing
True.
too with
Right.
beliefs, if I hear you, if I listen to what you're saying, and I asked
But
you, I
isn't
said,
the
all right,
Bible
Janelle.
true now?
Hmm.
Beliefs are based on the knowledge of good and evil.
Oh, what's that, so?
I thought I was hearing Ryan there, so I just was giving you
Oh,
space to
yeah,
respond to Ryan.
he made a comment. He says, isn't that what the Bible says? He was just
Yeah,
referring to
The Bible's true.
how
probably.
true the Bible is. Yeah.
Right, right, right,
100%.
Yeah.
Everything
right.
validates it
Mm. Yeah.
So the thing is, it's
because
about you
belief
choosing your own
bubbles.
beliefs.
That's what
Yeah.
in the beginning we fell because we ate from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Knowing good and evil creates beliefs.
Right, right. And awareness. Yeah, very powerful. I
Yes.
was going to
I
say,
mean,
so,
that's just
Mm.
so if
says it
I were
right
to
there.
ask you,
The
oh,
whole time it always says.
Go ahead. What's that, so?
I was going to say, Janelle, if I'm listening to what you're saying, and I asked you, Janelle, from now on, or from whenever your belief shifted, that it sounds to me that your beliefs are only as good as they last to you,
Yeah.
right? In
Yeah.
other words, if something comes along and it updates your belief, like in other words, your belief about God, for
Ain't
instance,
nothing wrong
you
with
say,
the
oh,
Bible.
that updates it. I'm going to adjust my belief, right? I'm going to add to it. I'm going to shift. I'm going to change my belief. But it was useful while it lasted. But the moment
Hmm.
it needs to change, I change it, and now I have a different belief. So I don't get locked into the beliefs, right? Because that
Mm.
limits us from seeing the moreness. Because as we grow, as we learn, as we become aware, we are going to automatically become aware of what's more, what else is going on. So that means our beliefs of necessity have to change, adapt, evolve, grow, because we are changing, adapting, growing, right? If we always have
Right.
the same beliefs, then that is by definition, you're almost going to limit yourself to getting stuck in the same place when it comes to learning, growing, awareness, moreness. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. When Ryan and I did a little reflection back over the year, whenever we hit a new year, we'll set goals and reflect back. And, sometimes we just laugh at some of the stuff we thought to be true, or
Brilliant.
when you
Brilliant.
when you reflect back, you see how much you've changed, and it's just one piece at a time, one step at a time. So going through it doesn't seem like a lot, but reflecting back, it's just monumental. And I've been really encouraged that, good, I am being flexible, I am able to change
Yes.
beliefs that have been really
Yes.
instilled in me.
Yes.
And isn't that
Yes.
what we're here to do,
Yes.
to be
Yes.
flexible and
Yes.
change and
Yes.
grow?
Yes.
So
Yes. Exactly.
yeah.
So it's only as good as it lasts. For me, I have this in my
Yes.
dictionary of power. That's it. everything I am, everything I believe, it's only as good as it lasts. I'll put just that last part in. By implication,
Oh,
it
okay.
applies to beliefs, knowledge, understanding. So it's only as good as it lasts. And this keeps us flexible, fluid, adaptable, open, right? It keeps us aware. It keeps us alert and attentive. And it keeps that idea in our head that, hey, just stay open to the fact that this might not be the end point of what it is, no matter how good it is. This is profound. There's one other thing that comes into this context here, right? And again, you're pulling it out of because it's what I hear from what you're sharing.
Hmm.
So if we have a belief, a conviction that is 100%, and we believe it to be true 100%. Now, this can apply to truth, it can apply to possibility. Like, for instance, if we believe something's impossible, or we believe, right? And it's 100%, we just, oh, if it's impossible, it can't happen. Same thing with the belief. We believe it to truth, there's 100%, there's no option for it to be other. However, when it does happen that truth turns out to not be so. In other words, we were convinced it's a 100% belief. And that
Hmm.
impossibility, we were convinced it is impossible, but then it turned out to be possible. Now what? If we are honest, right, that shift is profound. Because forever after that one first moment when truth that we were convinced was true turns out not to be so, or the impossible that we were convinced was impossible turns out to be possible. Forever after that, we cannot ever have that 100% certainty again in anything. We cannot, if we're honest.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because you said, if it happened once, how do I know whatever I now believe? I'm not in the same bubble as I was before. No matter how much I might be convinced, I have to, if I'm honest, be open. If I've experienced that only once. Now, some people don't experience this, and okay, they get caught up in that, but they can at least see for others this has been so. If you're not entirely arrogant, surely that must give you pause when you see somebody, oh, wow, they really were 100% convinced. And then it didn't turn out, oh, I better be a little bit more humble with me. All right. Now, if
Mm.
you're not thinking that way, then, the problems of arrogance are going to come and bite you. But I can see how people can get caught in that. And it's a tricky bubble. But still, once we've had that experience, we've got to rejoice and celebrate. Ah, man, now I can never ever be 100% convinced about something being exactly so again, ever. And that's a great freedom. Now we realize, oh, my beliefs are choices, and they're only as good as they last. I'm going to maximize them. I'm going to get full value until they change. The moment they change, I shift, I move on. That's it. Simple as that. Very easy. No problem. Right?
Hmm. I've been in
Very
that
simple.
spot that you're describing a lot. The now what question, like, well, that wasn't supposed to
Yes.
happen. The
Yes,
now
exactly.
what?
Yes, exactly. And this acute awareness, and we want to maintain it, we want to keep it with us. That humility of having known for a fact that what we believed, what we were convinced in, it was disproven and it's no longer so, and we shifted. This keeps us open, fluid, flexible, and it prevents us from getting locked into adamant opinions that are beyond adamancy, that are 100%. We don't get caught into that arrogance of stating things as if they are completely undeniable. No, anything can change. We've always got to be open to say it. And I believe it right now. For me, this is so. I can't see another way. But that doesn't mean because I can't see another way or how this cannot be true that it can't be. So we stay open. And that is profound because we will be so often in our lives surprised by what comes when we just open. Say, man, I never would have thought this. And it could be some trivial thing. I never would have thought, oh, wow, now it's completely different. But that's exciting. That's learning. That's moreness. That's expanding into the fullness of everything. And until we are God, we have to be aware that we know very little, right? Relatively. So
Right.
we, of course, in that expansion of our awareness and our knowing, things are going to change. Beliefs are going to change. Convictions are going to change. The facts of life and the universe and everything is going to change. So yeah, it's very exciting. It's very exciting. So how to deal with that? That's the issue, right?
Mm.
All right. So let's
Yeah.
get into how to deal with that. One particular strategy is, as spirit warriors, we make a point and we make an effort of paying attention to getting value and usefulness out of anything, whether it's true or not. We don't care. We're going to get value either way. This is our genius.
That's good.
Exactly. Take the afterlife and way of impeccability. Way of impeccability prepares us for afterlife, alternate life, multiple universes, alternate reality, fluid reality, whatever, doesn't matter. Yeah, patience, discipline, awareness, sensibility, sobriety, all of these tools that comprise way of impeccability, right? They're going to help you in any situation, doesn't matter, right? So we are preparing ourselves now. So let's assume we're looking at this from the point of whether it's true or not. So we're saying we're preparing for afterlife, alternative life, whatever. What if it turns out there's nothing and death is what some people say, it's just a nothing and that's it? Do we get value out of way of impeccability? Of course we do, because we're getting value out of it here now in this life also. So whether that belief turns out to be true or not, it doesn't matter. We get value either way through way of impeccability, right?
Yes.
So we covered. We are playing the odds. We are covering our backsides. We say, I don't care. I'm going to get value either way. It doesn't matter to me if it's true or not. This is the deep sobriety and sensibility that we are striving for. Yeah.
Yes.
And how cool is that? That's
Yeah,
something.
it's pretty amazing. Yeah. I've noticed like, I'll say daily mantras or, just like positive things like but I have to have it memorized. I noticed that like I write some really good stuff in my phone and on the notebook and this and
Nice,
that.
nice.
But unless it's like a part of me when I go through like a rough day like yesterday and I'm in a vision and it's like raw and it's the real deal, unless I have it memorized and it's a part of me, it really doesn't help me. So what I'm hearing you say is we need to practice this to the point it becomes part of us. So then in the afterlife, when we don't have our notebook, or
Yeah,
whatever, we still have the concepts, we still have it ingrained within us. And there's just so much truth to that. It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very, very important.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Exactly. Big deal. Big, 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 big deal. Very big deal. Very big deal. Yeah, yeah. But that flexibility of being open
Yeah.
and that having setting our strategy. I'm going to get value whether it's true or not. And this also by default just automatically opens us up through perspective shifting. We say, oh, what if? Oh. I set myself to be open for all of those, and we don't paint ourselves into corners with rigidity of belief.
Mm.
Right? The people you grew up with, they painted themselves into corners all the time with that insistence and that rigidity. They had nowhere to go because they locked themselves in. They tied their self worth, the who they are, to those particular beliefs. And when they started to get questioned and doubted, those people really suffered because they almost felt this as a personal attack on them. They felt their personal validity because they associated and connected it. Their personal validity started to get shaky, and that's just now. And then now their self-importance is associated, so they can't say, oh well, maybe you're right, maybe it's not true, and they just were locked in and they get stuck there and they don't grow, they don't evolve, they don't move on, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
That's something. It's
Yeah,
amazing.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, really astonishing. So we want to pay attention to this and not fall into those traps and not get locked in there. And this is, thankfully for you and Ryan, you guys didn't get locked into that. You were open. You said, well, what I've been taught isn't necessarily true. Now, we have to keep the same openness with what we teach ourselves.
Right.
It isn't necessarily true. It might be, it could be, maybe, likely, probably so, but it isn't necessarily so. that openness that it could possibly not be so keeps us humble, keeps us open. And since we were talking about power, it especially safeguards us against the corruptions of power. That's when power starts to corrupt, when people believe that what they believe is unquestionably right. That's when power wipes them out.
Mm, right.
They have no fluidity, no flexibility, and no humility. Yeah.
Yeah, that's very true.
So humility for a spirit warrior is absolutely crucial. I mean, we can apply this in a very literal sense to, that's why, the warrior, some people, struggle with the violence aspect of the warrior and they want to use other terms, but it's useful because, a warrior is playing for very real stakes. So a
Yeah.
warrior who is absolutely convinced of they have to have confidence, and you have to, of course, if you're going to believe something, put your maximum into believing it, but you keep that little tiny window open that it might not be so. This is the same thing for a warrior going into battle, right? Yes, they believe that they are really good at what they do, but they also know that there's a limitation to it, and they might encounter somebody who's better than them. If they think they're the best warrior out there, they're going to get killed by when they do meet somebody who's better than them. Might just be on that particular day or whatever. But or multiple people or whatever, so that you have to have that openness. When you do encounter that, you can adapt, you can recognize it, you can shift, you can move, you can change, you can do whatever is the appropriate in the situation. But if you have that 100% belief and you close to any possibilities, you just get locked in and it's going to wipe you out at some point. It's guaranteed to. Yeah. You
Hmm.
won't recognize when the moreness comes along. And obviously on the battlefield, when you can't see somebody who's has more than me, then that's gonna wipe you out.
Oh yeah. Yeah, a lot of truth to that.
Yeah,
Yes.
powerful stuff, powerful stuff. So, humility is a big power term. I'm assuming it's already in your dictionary of power. It's capital H, humility. It's a big deal, very very big deal. And we have to constantly keep it in mind. We want to live and feel our humility, to understand why it is essential to be humble. It's not something that we are doing because we're supposed to. No, it's something that we're doing because we want to. Why do we want to? Because we see the profound sensibility and sobriety of being humble. It prevents us from getting into all sorts of ridiculous trouble, right?
Yes.
So very big deal. And at the one of the most profound applications of humility is when it comes to rigidity of belief. That rigidity of belief, where people persist in this and they want to insist and they get themselves into trouble, paint themselves into corners. It just takes them backwards. It's kind of sad to see, really, but hey, eventually they'll learn
Yeah,
again.
it is sad to see. But again, everyone has a choice. Do you want to learn the easy way or the hard way? And being stubborn
Exactly.
takes you down that hard path every time.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's amazing. The universe is quite happy to hand out specs. Yeah, with abandon, right?
Right. Right.
Yeah, it's not PC in that regard, right?
Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. Nowadays you can't hand out specs, but universe don't care. It still hands them out, right? Quite happily. Quite
Right.
happily. Yeah, yeah.
I I just looked at the time here. I want to make sure I have a few power terms I want to go over.
Please. Yes,
I don't want to run
yes.
out of time for that, so I'm going
No,
to kind of
no.
switch over for my
Yes.
notes too.
We've been shifting and making that effort. Usually about quarter two in that last 15 minutes, but we
Okay.
can do now. So yeah, thank you though. Thank you. No, this is fantastic. This is fantastic. Yeah,
I don't have a lot, but a handful of them, and
yeah.
they
They're important.
really resonated with me. So I can't remember if I said this last time or not. I think this was from this week, but the gift of choice I put that in my power dictionary, and it's learning to receive what's best for me. So the gift of choice is learning to receive what's best for me. I initially wrote it down, learning to choose, but that's not it.
And is it
Mm-hmm.
let's ask Beena here, please, Beena, when it comes to receptivity. Could you elaborate on this conception of receptivity? What receptivity is for you, Beena, please?
Yes, for me, receptivity, one of the most important power terms, of course, but also it is a whole lot of like in Sill's word. If you say that, it's a philosophy. It's a mechanic.
Yes, it is. It's an underlying philosophy of wave impeccability. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly, because when we actually implement this receptivity, it's a way of being that you allow yourself to receive it without having any previous idea influence your perception of that thing. Like, we
Can you
might
repeat that exact sentence, please,
Yeah, that
Beena?
was good.
okay, like it is to. Sorry, Sil, I'm just forgetting this thing.
It's
So that
okay. Share the sentiment again. Just recalculate it, refigure it out. No problem.
thing be in a way to receive those things where with the mindset that do not allow any idea, any pre-existing idea influence your perspective of the new thing, new perception, new perspective. So this could be for anything. I try to apply it for anything, anyone, in any situation, because if we allow our previous understanding, our existing understanding, existing perspectives, it will definitely going to encounter. So for me, it is receive first and dissect it later. You can do this in your whole life. Just first be
Yeah.
receiving end and being receptive, where you don't actually allow any pre-existing idea or perspective to influence anything which is coming. Just be more open. It allows you to be more open. It allows you to be in a neutral place where you actually completely and fully you can receive. Of course, it is not possible all the time to receive everything 100%, but it allows you, it make it possible to receive maximum, because you are not actually like receiving before receiving dissecting. Oh no, this is, if this person is saying something, it's gonna be something different. No, if this person is doing something, or if it is about this, I'm not going to accept this. No, just be in a receptive mood is having a complete trust in yourself and in your understanding that no matter how profound this idea is and might seems like, if I will receive this, it's going to influence me by any means. I don't have this fear in my mind. No matter how controversial, no matter how influential, no matter how profound the idea can be, I don't have any hesitation to receive it, because I am in a receptive mood where I'm open to receive. And it comes with a capital T trust in yourself. Because when you know that whatever is coming, you will understand it according to impeccability, according to your awareness, and then you will receive it, and then you will apply it if you found a value in it. So this having trust in yourself allows you to be receptive, and when you are receptive, you actually receive more and more out of anything. You can get value out of anything once you are in a receptive mood. And for me, the foundation of the being at receptive mood is having a trust in yourself, in your innate goodness, in your understanding, in your perspectives, in your impeccability, and universal intent of goodness. Because when you are aware of it, you don't need to fear of any idea. Okay, if like I'm just sharing that, like for religious people, it's a big deal if a person from another religion try to share their perspective. they get really defensive, like, oh no, I'm not going to listen because it's going to influence. If I don't have any fear, I will not be on guard. I will say, okay, please share. Let's see what is there. And it actually sparks your curiosity, capital C curiosity, which is really impeccable. And you see when you want to explore things more, value out of everything or anything.
Yes, yes, yes. Huge, great big deal.
Yes,
Huge, great big deal. This receptivity.
this is
An
so liberating.
unbelievably massive power term, in other words,
Yes,
the way
yes,
Beena is
Mm,
sharing it, right? Because
yeah.
to say it in another way, also, Beena, right?
yeah.
When we are receptive, we are deliberately and consciously setting aside all filters that otherwise might be in play, right?
Why it is so
Yes?
liberating. You don't feel any fear of getting influenced by anything if you don't want to. That's why it's a trust issue. That's why it actually
Right,
leverages self-trust big time. That because you
right.
put yourself in a position that yes, no matter what is coming, I'm going to receive it, and then I will check it, and then I will see it, and then if I want to, if I found a value, then I will apply it. So
Hmm,
whatever is coming, I'm not being fearful of anything. I'm
hmm.
truly, totally open to.
No,
Mm,
no,
And it's a core for moreness, to get
right,
moreness.
right,
It's a core.
right. So the result, the consequence of this receptivity, the setting aside of your filters, is that you are able to perceive things for what they are in and of themselves, regardless of your beliefs, your perceptions, your ideas, your understandings. You set all that aside and say, let me look at this thing as if it makes sense. Yeah?
Mhm.
mhm.
Now you evaluate, or not even evaluate, you set aside evaluation. You receive this, whatever it is, on its own terms, not on your terms. Right? And because you have trust in your sensibility and your sobriety and your inherent goodness, you have no fear of anything new because we have this understanding that it's only as good as it lasts. And I'm open. If I need to change, I change. If not, I don't. If it's useful and valuable to me, I update. If not, I don't. I trust myself. And like Venus says, that I'm not afraid of influence. I know I am the final arbiter of truth. I'm the one who's going to determine if I'm going to accept this, adopt this, add this, or not to me. It's not automatically going to change me. I'm going to choose. I always get to choose. Why? Because I think things through to the end. I look at things carefully. I make sure that I'm aware of what's involved. But first, I have to make sure I receive whatever it is as it is, not through the filters of my bias and my prejudice and my pre existing ideas and beliefs and my ego and all of this other stuff. So, receptivity is setting ourselves aside to connect to what is according to how it, oh, excuse me, how it actually is, not how we think it might be. We're not even always aware of those little biases that distort our perception, but to truly, truly perceive accurately. This is what receptivity is.
Exactly. And
Yes? Yes, Beena?
yes, exactly. And so just to make the obvious, as you mentioned that we are in a so neutral place, we comes from our, you can say in a way of being, we comes and we be in a neutral way where we do not allow not only any other external idea to influence that, but also our own idea. This is the most
Right.
impeccable way of being, where you don't
Exactly.
allow your
Exactly.
pre-existing ideas to influence anything, and also
Exactly.
any other idea. And it is like
Right. Right.
sometimes we say that like, duh, if someone is sending you a gift, you don't judge it before opening it. You said, okay,
Mhm.
let it, okay, I receive it and thank you and so, and then you open it and then you say that, okay, it is valuable or not. So this is how being receptive is. So just first receive it without getting influenced by your own pre-existing ideas or perspective.
Right.
This is
Right.
really amazing.
Right. Perception without filter, in other words,
Absolutely.
we could say for receptivity. Yeah. But also, there's an underlyingness to truly be receptive. We have to. We can't actually be neutral. It seems like it, but not really. We are slightly biased, very tiny, to say, I'm going to receive this as if it makes sense. This is what I'm going to assume. I'm going to come at it from that particular bias, that it makes sense in some way. This opens us up to seeing sense that we might not see right away because some things are complicated, they're convoluted, they're complex, right? But when we say, wait a second, I'm going to insist that there is sense here, and I'm going to keep at this so that I can remain open, that I don't get put off by confusion and temporary misunderstanding, etc. So that insistence that it makes sense, this takes us to get to truly understand it. It may turn out that it doesn't, but because we insisted that it does, we get to give it a thorough checking, right? It's easy to
Mm.
find fault in things, even things that do make sense, we can find fault with quite easily, right? So when we have this, it prevents that tendency that we have, or that ability to find fault easily. It keeps us open to seeing the sense, and that makes us really receptive to seeing it for what it is, even if it turns out in the end not to make sense. Doesn't matter. It will still make sense in some way or another. Most craziness makes sense to the crazy person, right?
Right.
So we get to comprehend and understand and be aware from the inside, from that thing's perspective, not from ours only. And of course, our perspective is limited. We're not God, so our perspective is limited, or the universe. When we get to see things from their perspective, we broaden our ability to comprehend, to perceive, to understand, to know, to be aware. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that definition, Beena,
Good.
of receptivity. Yeah.
So, would you read your original entry again, please?
Are you talking to me, Phil?
Yeah, Janelle. Yeah.
I don't even know what I was reading. I was so caught up in note taking. I don't even. I
In your dictionary of
originally
power.
I said the gift
Yeah,
of choice.
the
I
dictionary
think
of
that's the
power.
last. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, the gift
yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
choice,
yeah, yeah.
learning to receive and being receptive to what's best for me. I added a
Mm,
little extra there.
there you go. Right. Very cool. Very
So
cool.
another
That's
oh
the deeper point with Bina. So sorry. Just to extend on this point
yeah,
a little bit more.
it's fine.
What Bina was saying with receptivity, it does intimately connect to the gift of choice, because it's so easy to not be receptive because we're afraid that we are going to inadvertently lose our ability to choose.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm,
Hmm. Yes. Yes.
But
Yes.
if we are truly receptive, we get to comprehend, understand, and know something from inside that thing itself. This has nothing to do with being influenced by it. That's a separate choice. This is just a confused association that if something comes along, we might be influenced by. Nonsense. It's a choice to be influenced. So that freedom of choice, that gift of choice, is the gift to take something in or not. But I can only take something in once I truly know what it is. For that,
Hmm.
I need receptivity. That's the connecting loop here. Yes?
Yes.
mm.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's very good.
Mhm. Fantastic stuff. I love doing Dictionary of Power. Just going over Dictionary of Power, because when we really get into the deeper meanings of it, it's all connected. It's a
Mhm.
spiritual activity to go through it. It's so profound. Look how what you were saying. It connects. It connects. It connects. Right? You said gift of choice. That's your entry, right? Is that what you said?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Now, would you say the gift of choice is a profound gift from the universe and from God, which enables real awareness?
Yes.
Has to be. Choice, capital C choice, and capital A awareness, kind of the same thing, right? You can't have
Hmm.
real awareness without choosing it deliberately and consciously, without making deliberate conscious choices. Can't happen. Can't happen. You can't program awareness. You have to choose it for yourself. So this gift of choice is the gift of awareness, which is the gift of everything.
Mm.
It's the gift of gifts, is it not?
Yeah. Yeah. So another definition I had here is for peace, and just kind of thinking outside the box, I guess. But peace, allowing heaven to manifest in my life from within.
Oh, sorry. So what is the actual entry?
The actual entry is the word peace,
Ah, ah,
Peace, having
yeah, and
peace, internal
yeah.
peace. So allowing heaven to manifest in my life from within.
Wow, I like that. That's a very nice definition and expanded understanding. It's more than a definition. It's your understanding of what peace is to you, and I love that. That's really
Mm.
beautiful. That's very cool. Very cool. Very magical. Awesome, awesome, awesome.
And another one here is faith. So I kind of went over some terms that I've known growing up and put them in a, I guess, how I understand them now. Um,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
so another one is faith, knowing things are always working out for me in amazing, magical ways.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Is it a knowing or a trusting?
Maybe a little of both.
Ah, exactly.
Knowing and
Um,
trusting.
exactly, exactly, exactly.
But just having that, just knowing from within, just I guess having, um you can just rest assured,
Yeah, yeah.
there's no stress involved. Just
Right.
without stress, aware that things are always working out for you. So another one I had here is
Mm-hmm.
love. And this is just a
Mm-hmm.
different way of looking at it. But love to me is hearing the music from within and allowing your soul to dance.
Ah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Please read that again.
Love,
Yes.
love is hearing the music from within and allowing your soul to dance.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Because
Yes.
this
Dance
is
with
Mhm.
life, as Biala would say. Biala would be very happy to hear that.
Mm.
Yes, dance with life, dance with the universe.
I always think that love has nothing to do with other person or any other thing outside you.
Mhm.
Love is a very mean, kind of a very self-centered. I'm using these negative terms, but yes, it is.
Uh-huh.
Because love has nothing to do with other person or anything out.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
perfectly, perfect definition.
Fine, fine.
Yes.
If your love is dependent on others, then it's a contract, not really a free thing. Love has to be free to be loved, no?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not contractual. On faith, would you say faith is also having capital T trust that there is moreness out there?
Yes.
Yeah, and that moreness is goodness also, right?
Yes. I have another one here.
Hmm.
and this one's called Greed.
Mm.
So to me, greed is an endless, grotesque monster grown in the blackest part of hate, consuming everything in its path, even the very depths of your soul and being. And yet, ironically, it starts as a simple, single seed of thought called want.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah. It's a distortion. It's a corruption. Yeah.
Read
Yes.
that again. An endless, grotesque monster grown in.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna post this one. Actually, Ryan wanted to. I'm like, well, let me read it to the group first before you start posting it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Actually, I'd like it if you posted it.
I'll post
You,
it. That's
Janelle.
fine.
Yeah,
Because I
post it
wanted
in
to
the
get a
group.
good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Ryan
Yeah,
can post it too, but I'm keen for you to post it in the group. Yeah.
yeah. He's just encouraging me to
Oh,
do that.
good.
But yeah, I'll
Good.
read it
Thank you,
again.
Ryan.
So the term is greed, an endless, grotesque monster grown in the blackest part of hate, consuming everything in its path, even the very depths of your soul and being. And yet, ironically, it starts as a simple, single seed of thought called want.
Absolutely. Wow.
Very cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Very,
Yeah. Very
you
potent.
don't want to
Actually,
get
I wouldn't.
involved.
Yeah.
You don't want
I
to,
would
you don't want to be
recommend you
there.
actually post all these entries, not just the one on greed, but
I
all of them.
will,
Oh, yes.
especially my definitions, because I like seeing
Mhm.
people's definitions and I want, because we all have a different perspective. So I always like the dictionary power
Yeah.
to me is it's pretty big. It's huge.
Very
It's
powerful.
huge, exactly. And that's the post to say, these are my entries, my
Yes.
understandings in my personal dictionary of power. What's
Yeah.
yours on these conceptions? Ask for others' opinions, on their perspectives on it. Say, this is mine. This is what works for me. I want to hear yours because that adds to me also. There's no right and
Yeah.
wrong to this, right?
Right. Yeah. But I like this because you can see how other people, like with Beena sharing,
Mhm.
Right,
I never
exactly,
saw it that way before. It really
exactly,
sheds a lot of
exactly,
light on it.
exactly, exactly. Not only that, but Bina, how many times haven't we shared this power conception of receptivity? Right?
Yes. And every single time
Dozens of times, over and over.
yes,
And every time, what?
it comes out more.
Every
Right.
single time.
Yes.
Yeah.
It never gets old. It never gets static. It always keeps updating, because
Hmm.
the reason why is because everything is connected to everything else. So
Mhm.
the more you expand on an understanding, a cognition, a conception of a particular conception, when the more you conceive of conception, the more it connects to everything else. So it just keeps on going. So everything is connected to everything else. You can take any point and from there connect to infinity.
Yeah.
Mhm. More, more. You got more entries?
Well, that was all the entries I had, but there's one thing I was
Ah,
going to
cool.
share before I'm looking at 8 o'clock. I was going to
Mhm.
share a little poem that I wrote last week.
Please, please,
And
please.
I've been writing poetry for a while. I just don't share it. So, Bina, thank you for sharing your
I
poetry. I really appreciate it because
uh,
I write, but I don't share. So I'm learning to share.
please share with us especially. And Bina was the
You
same way,
agree.
right? Right,
Oh
Bina?
yes.
You were the same way,
Uh,
very reluctant to share. I had to put a
as
lot of work into getting to that point where Bina was sharing. And man, what
Mm,
a gift for all of us, right, Janelle?
yeah.
Now,
Oh, yeah.
Bina's not sharing
say
for us. Very important, right,
no.
Bina? Your value from
Yeah,
sharing is for you, right? Whether anybody
absolutely.
reads it or not, the ability to share. This is a profound ability that is absolutely just fantastically valuable and useful to acquire. It makes no difference if others get value out of it or not. Being able to share
Mm,
liberates us and sets us free. Very big deal.
yes.
Very, very big deal.
Well, thank you, Beena, for your encouragement. But yeah, I wrote something last week I just wanted to share with the group, and I'll
Let's hear.
probably find
Let's hear.
a picture and post this as well because I
Oh
feel
yeah,
like
yeah.
I'm
yeah,
supposed to do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So
And we will jump on that, Janelle, as soon as we saw that, and we will jump on that and we will make
I
comments.
can't wait.
Please do.
oh,
I can't
good.
wait.
Okay,
Can't
excellent.
wait. Let's hear. Let's hear. Let's hear. I can't
Okay,
wait
all
for the
right.
poem.
I know it's so intense now. I'll meet you both today before the sun grows hot underneath a willow in our favorite spot. Life has such great adventures, but they're much more fun with you. Living in each moment, every day's brand new. We laugh and play and dance and sing, but the best part is the surprise you bring. Letting go, being free, that's the lesson you teach to me. There's always more, much more to life. Soaring above, becoming alive. Finding those gems is what we enjoy. Digging down deeper in our mind, we employ. Becoming aware, learning to choose, practicing it all. You never can lose. So today I run to meet my friends. They bring a gift not quite the same. For happiness and healing are their names.
Mm, wow.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Oh,
wow, wow, fabulous. Now, Beena and I were talking about something this morning.
Mhm,
We're talking about the magic that occurs when we feel something and then we put it into music, art, sculpture, writing doesn't matter. That energy, that
mhm,
feeling, that realness of the feeling, it translates, right? And it
mhm,
doesn't really matter the format. When we feeling, the feeling is real. It comes through, and that's what I felt you feeling this, and that's the
mhm.
gift of
yeah.
sharing,
Thank you.
right?
Yes.
So
And this
good
is so beautiful.
poetry, it's about sharing what you feel. It's not about art and technique. Yes, that can enhance it, but it is directly sharing what you feel, what's real to you, and that's magical, and that's why your poem is really beautiful and magical.
Thank you. I
Yes.
appreciate that. Thank you. Well, I'll post
Oh,
it on the
I
group.
love it.
So if you want to
Oh,
read it again,
please.
it'll be up there.
Oh,
So
Oh,
yes.
good,
Thank you. Thank you for sharing.
good,
yeah.
good, good,
Thank
good, good,
you.
good.
Yeah, I needed some encouragement. I have good stuff. I just I don't say it, so I
Yeah,
needed to.
sharing is liberating because we
Yeah.
unhook from that want, that ego need to share that it's valuable to others. I'm sharing it to the universe. I'm sharing it
Yeah.
to put it out there. I'm sharing the freedom. I'm enjoying sharing. And if everybody enjoys sharing, we get to learn from it, right? So whether or not somebody specifically gets value, I'm sharing because sharing is valuable. I benefit every single day from the gift of sharing. How can
Mm,
I not participate regardless of how valuable or not my content is? I don't care. It's irrelevant whether it has value or not. I'm sharing because I'm just part of the whole sharing mechanism, yeah,
yeah.
which is the magic of the universe. Yeah,
Oh yeah, definitely. Very powerful.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very, very cool. Very, very, very cool. Fantastic, fantastic. All right,
Well, I
all right.
appreciate
We
our
see you
session
next
today.
time.
Thank
And
you. Yep.
before we go, one point of housekeeping, right?
What's that?
We need to do a bit of prodding and needling for Mr. Ryan over there. So,
I
Ryan,
Are
I'm
you
keen, I'm keen, I'm keen. So,
Mm,
what's that?
Oh, I have my
So,
headset in. He can't hear. Are you
okay. But anyway, just give him a
am I
few
what?
jabs over there. Say,
you
get
know?
off your butt.
Yes.
Yeah, he says everyone's in his calendar. He's meeting Thursday. So
oh yeah.
Excellent,
he's got you
excellent.
all
Not
pinned
only that,
in.
Perhaps.
excellent.
Hmm.
Janelle, share your process with Ryan of how
Oh,
you
what's that?
do your notes, how you do the repeat back. Share your process of how you do repeat backs, how you do takeaways, how you do diction of power. Share this with Ryan. And also break it down into tiny, tiny steps. Say, you don't know what you're going to say before you come to a slide, right? even when you start writing, you just start and you trust what comes, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just do.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's part of it, because that's usually the process. So at any rate, so that break it down, because I think Ryan's getting a bit overwhelmed with the bigness, and he sort of gets stuck and says, I have to say something meaningful and profound. No, not at all. Say what's real to you, right? That's what you're not trying to be profound and sensible, are you? I mean, yes, obviously sensible, I guess, but you're just sharing what's real to you. Am I right,
Right.
Janelle? You're sharing what's
Yeah.
coming
Yeah,
up
you're
in
right.
you. You're thinking
Right.
about stuff. That's the key. Think about it. Write down what you think. Then
Yeah.
more thoughts will come. You write it down. The repeat backs. Just do the best you can. So I think Ryan is making the whole thing into a bigger deal than it is a little bit, and that's putting
Yeah.
him off a little bit. So it's not a
Okay.
big deal. Do it. I said to Ryan, do it badly.
Yeah. At least you're
Do
doing
it
it.
badly. Exactly. Do it badly. It's a profound lesson to be able to do things badly. It's capital P practice. If we
Mm,
can't do things badly, we're going to struggle to improve and practice and learn. All of practice is what you're doing. You're repeating doing things badly, and that's how you improve. So, okay, you do it a little less badly every time, but you're still doing it badly, awkwardly, uncomfortable, whatever. So, yeah, yeah, very big deal. So, just think of it as practice. We don't want perfection. Not what we're after. Yeah,
right.
yeah,
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's a good reminder. So,
Yeah,
well, I enjoyed
exactly.
our
Capital P
lesson. Oh,
practice. Yeah.
what's
So put
that?
capital P practice in your dictionary of power.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And what it means to you. And then
Practice.
go over it with Ryan. This is what these sessions are. They are sessions where we get to have space
True. That's
and
right.
we
Yeah, if we
can
were
capital
perfect, we
P
wouldn't have to
practice.
do them.
Exactly. And where we can be wrong, where we can be awkward, where we can go up a dead end, where we can say something and it's like, oh, what the hell was I saying there? Or let me say that again. Where we can do this. This is the space that is the magic of what we do. Right. So, yeah, yeah. So,
Mhm.
we want to see Ryan do it badly.
That sounds good.
Yeah. I want to ease him up a bit, not to ease him up. Yeah, but he said I must goose him. I must put some pressure on him. He asked me to prod him and poke him a little
Okay.
bit. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So go, yeah,
Okay,
just
that
dump a
sounds
bucket of cold
good.
water on him or something, right? He asked for
Yeah, you did.
Uh,
it.
too many good ideas. Right. Exactly.
Exactly, exactly. You can blame it all on me now because he really did ask us to do this. So yeah, don't worry. All right,
Okay. Well, we'll
brilliant.
give
See
the
you.
blame
See
to
you next
you.
time. There you go.
All
There you
right.
go.
Have a
There
good
you
day,
go. Perfect.
everyone.
Perfect. All right. Love it,
All
Janelle.
right.
Love it. Love it.
Bye-bye.
Love it.
Bye. Bye.
No,
Oh,
bye bye.
so magical. So magical.